welcome to you at this press briefing following the conclusion of the 17th extraordinary session of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers. It has just concluded with the adoption of a resolution on humanitarian situation in Afghanistan. You have before you Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, Chair of the 17th extraordinary session, and OIC Secretary General Hussein Ibrahim Taha. We will first have opening remarks from the Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, and later a few remarks from Secretary General Taha. At the conclusion, we will take a few questions. Without further ado, Foreign Minister.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let me begin by thanking you and waiting here patiently for the presser. As you know, we've just concluded the 17th session of this extraordinary CFM. I'd like to, at the very beginning, thank all the foreign ministers who participated in this extraordinary session. And I'm happy to share with you that 20 foreign ministers, 10 deputy foreign ministers participated in this. So at the ministerial level, we had 30 representations. There were 70 delegations that participated in this extraordinary session, called at a very short notice, and there were 437 delegates who came to Islamabad, and I thank all of them. I also wanted to thank, at the very beginning, special representatives on Afghanistan from the P5. We wanted the message to go beyond the Ummah, and that is why we invited the special representatives on Afghanistan of the P5 countries. They participated, and they also made their statements. The European Union special representative was here on the instructions of Mr. Borrell, who I met in Brussels, and he promised, and I'm grateful to him, to send his special representative, and he participated and contributed. I'm also grateful to the special representative of Germany, Japan, Italy, and many other international organizations, international financial institutions for their very valuable contribution. A special thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty the King, the Crown Prince, and the Foreign Minister, who took a very keen interest and initiated this conference. And I'm grateful to the OIC countries for reposing confidence in Pakistan and allowing Pakistan to host this conference. A special thanks to the Secretary General for his leadership, for his support, and the support of his Secretariat. Without his stewardship, this conference would not be possible. So thank you, sir. You heard, and you were in the opening session, but let me share the closed session with you. The Afghans were heard, and their delegation was invited so that they could share with the rest of the international community here on what the developments were and are post 15th of August. And they did, and they highlighted. And interestingly, when I was listening to the special representative of United States of America, Mr. Tom West, there was an acknowledgement and a certain amount of appreciation. And he also said on the safe passage and in many other areas, the interim setup was cooperating with them. And you also saw that today they also had an engagement. They met and they exchanged views. Now this in itself, ladies and gentlemen, is a major development. Forces that did not see eye to eye, that had serious reservations, are now engaging and talking. So to that extent, I think it was an important opportunity. It was equally important for the Afghan authorities to interact, and they had a number of bilaterals, I'm told, while I was chairing the session. And in those bilaterals, I am sure they were sensitized to the expectations of the international community. I hope, and it's my desire, it was my desire, that this conference, this extraordinary session, will play the role of evolving a better understanding and bridge the trust deficit. It'll take time, but I think at least the ball has started rolling. Number of things that have come out clearly from the deliberations that took place, and I'll share them with you. One, that there is an awareness and a recognition that a humanitarian crisis is looming, and we've got to do something about it. The other thing is that if we do not act and act now and swiftly, then the economic collapse is inevitable. The third message that I think went loud and clear, and the Prime Minister in his statement made it very, very clear, that time is of essence. The other message that came out clearly from many delegates, and that was that we could have a difference of opinion with the authorities, but our focus is the 38 million people of Afghanistan. That's the focus. And the realization amongst many regional players, particularly the immediate neighbors of Afghanistan, that God forbid, if things go wrong, it's not just Afghanistan that will be impacted. Neighbors will be equally impacted. And in my statement, I tried to highlight that it's not just the neighbors that will be impacted. The consequences will be felt beyond the region. And finally, that helping Afghans is a shared responsibility. Pakistan alone, despite the goodwill and the desire, we can't do it. It has to be a shared responsibility. And everybody has to chip in and play their effective role. Now, two documents have been adopted and adopted unanimously. One is the joint resolution on Afghanistan humanitarian situation, and the other is the Islamabad Declaration on the Palestinian situation. The entire conference expressed, in my view, unity and expressed support for the people of Afghanistan. There was talk about how to devise a mechanism for disbursement. First, raise resources to help people, and when you do, how do we disperse that? There has to be an institutional mechanism developed and adopted. COVID-19 hasn't vanished, it's still there. And there was a thought and a suggestion that the OIC Secretariat should engage with WHO for securing vaccines and medical supplies for Afghanistan, because the situation is serious over there. Number of other developments that have, come out of this conference are, and I'll share them with you. One, the conference has agreed, and it was required, to establish a humanitarian trust fund. Two, they've agreed, and we've all agreed, to launch a food security program for Afghanistan. Three, we collectively feel that we have to unlock financial and banking channels, because the economy cannot function and people cannot be helped without banking services. Four, there has been an agreement to appoint a special of OIC. So many things to look at. There has to be a focused person just looking at the Afghan situation. And five, that there was a need felt to forge a partnership between OIC and the UN system. The UN agencies can work and are working in Afghanistan, and many donors are comfortable, giving their resources to them, and they feel that they will be well utilized. Finally, there is a view and there's a call on the international community and the UN Security Council that sanctions should not impede, we should ensure that sanctions should not impede the provision of humanitarian. To that extent, and economic resources that are made available, these sanctions these sanctions should not come in the way of money being imparted for schools and hospitals. So that was agreed upon. Let me share with you that this is the beginning. Follow-up meetings would be required. One cannot feel complacent that we have done what was required. No. We have made the international community and the Ummah realize the magnitude of the challenge, how big a challenge it is. And now we will have to work further to actually alleviate the sufferings of the people of Afghanistan. I will conclude by thanking everyone. I want to thank the officers of the Foreign Office, the entire team that worked round the clock to make this happen. I am proud of my officers who have done a great job in such a short time. Thank you.